excited here to welcome some amazing panelists. Today is a Customer Experience Day worldwide, and we took this opportunity to actually spend some time together as CX pioneers. The community that you see here are the leaders who are also CX pioneers and actually certified CX pioneers. So, welcome everyone to this CX Day.
Hi Rajat, it's an honor to
Hi
be here.
Rajat.
Hi Rajat,
Wonderful.
thanks for joining us. I mean, welcoming all.
Right. Awesome. So we are going to have some fun together by, kind of getting to know the secrets of these leaders. And let me tell you, all of them, because I have had the opportunity to work with them, to know them better, they've done some amazing work. So if you are watching this, if you're listening to this, feel free to ask your questions because you will really get some amazing responses from the ground. Is that right? Are you too
Yes,
excited, everyone, on the
Yes,
panel?
yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
let me welcome Smita. Quickly, a quick brief intro. Smita is actually leading the CX implementation in a progressive mid-sized bank, and I know she's very passionate about the frameworks that she has been putting in place and making some big impact in this space. By earning even great NPS, right? We are not going to get there too much. So, welcome, Smita.
Thank you, Rajat. It's an honor to be here, and I'm sure today, with all the festivities going there, I think it's a great opportunity to be on LinkedIn and to be on this panel. Looking forward to it.
Great. Let me now welcome Abhishek. Abhishek comes from, one of the world's largest financial services company. Um, it's an honor to have you as well, Abhishek. We want to learn from you. I have seen how passionate Abhishek is. If you follow him on LinkedIn, you will know for his passion. So great to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you, Rajat, for inviting me. It's indeed an honor to be a part of this panel, especially on the CX Day. I think it's one more festivity added to my life. So I think it's great to be here. Great to be, with such great panelists. I'm sure we'll have a lot of learnings today along with fun. So thank you, Rajat, for inviting me.
Great. Now, let me invite Kumud. Kumud is one of the top CX influencers in India, and I have the opportunity to work with her as well, know her, and she's also leading CX initiatives in a large financial organization. I have seen how she's been evolving own frameworks to make a difference to CX. So, welcome, Kumud.
Thank you, Rajat, and thank you to all all my colleagues, CX stalwarts, I would say. It's been an honor to be a part of this session today. Especially, yes, I agree with Abhishek. We have CX Day celebration as well as Dasera in advance. Okay, so it is adding to one more tradition. So,
Yes.
looking forward for this. Thank you.
Yeah. Great, great. Let me welcome Infantia. We go years back knowing each other on the CX platform, and it's an honor to have Infantia as well, a great uh, practitioner of customer experience. Also, have been implementing it in the large banks. The kind of stories that I've heard is really inspiring. So, welcome, Infantia, to this panel today.
Lovely day and a lovely session to be a part of this group and speak about a day where the entire world is only focusing on. I think it's amazing, and let us begin the discussion.
Yeah, I think everybody must be waiting for that. Meanwhile, we also have Anirban. Anirban, we're just having a quick round of introductions. You just joined in time when everybody's done. Welcome, welcome, Anirban. I mean, is one I know the longest, maybe 20 plus years now, and he is one of the first customer experience certified analytics leader. He comes from the IT services background, unlike the rest of all of you here. So welcome, Anirban, to this panel discussion on a CX Day.
Thank you so much, Rajat. It's such a pleasure to see all of you all of us here. Happy Navratri greetings to everybody. Let's enjoy the time next 1 hour. Looking forward.
All right. So great. Thank you so much. It's such a wonderful feeling to see you all. You're all live. So I again want to, anyone watching, listening, or you watch it later or listen to this recording later, feel free to post your questions. The good thing about LinkedIn is that you can always track back. So we have great panel here today. Let's get started. Um, Let me just go around and once again mention the Customer Experience Day is celebrated worldwide, initiated by CXP organization worldwide on the first Tuesday of every October. And we have a great fervor going on. There'll be lots of events, and this is a contribution. Everybody in this panel is a certified CX pioneer. Also, they are truly CX pioneers. So let me go around and first of all, ask a few of you about the reason that we've gathered here. What's the topic? The topic for today is how to build a customer-centric brand. I want to know, I'll go by the way I see it on the screen. Sometimes I may randomly ask you a question. So let me go to Kumud. Kumud, you've been doing some great work. Let me ask you, how would you define, a customer-centric brand in your world means what?
For me, a customer-centric brand is something which is taking care of my needs. Be there where I am, right? In simple words, not to make me struggle around. So, in short, which makes me feel good and meet my needs easily, and takes care of me every time I go. So it's kind of the experience, So this is what if I ask my kids also, okay, so they have the same answer. So I think it's as simple as that. That brand needs to know that they cannot create their own world. They need to go where their customers are. Number one, and number two, make the journey so simple that every time the customer is going, his needs are being met. Because today's paradigm is that customer is not loyal as such. The shift in the I would say, I am buying one stuff from one website, but at the same time I am not loyal to that brand if I do not find the experience very good. So I may switch on. So the paradigm is customer switch is what is happening currently. So in order to keep your customers with you, you need to make loyalty or value proposition as your mantra, and you should always see where your customer is, go there and meet the needs every time. So it's not one time affair now. So for me
Okay.
also, it should it should take care of me. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. Meeting the needs every time. Great. Thank you for that. Infantia, what would you like to share in your experience? Have you found it easy to meet the need of the customer every time? What's your strategy, if any, or your practice that has helped you to make it happen, meeting the need every time? What's your take on that?
So, Rajat, very simply put, centricity itself says that you just need to have a of your. If you are focused on what
I
saying,
think your voice is a little bit going off and on. A little bit privy this connection.
can
Can't
you?
hear your full sentences. Is it for everyone?
Yeah, in Penchia, it is
Is it clear now?
network issue.
Your voice is clear, but it drops in between.
Okay, this should be better. I think it's more about making sure that your is your customer, what he gets, what he says, how is it that you delivering it to deliver it right every time? Because I think Kumud made a very important point. Our customers have so many choices. Okay, they have options of not to decide, because every app, every digital associate, everybody else is buying. What will suit your set of items of environment you are in, whether it's Apple, whether it's Android, whether it is all of this is already available with your customer. So all just you need to do is continues to be on your customer. Okay, sometimes we just so carried away with the that we forget what we are in it for. So and with it comes a very important base on which this whole thing works. So as an organization, as leaders of the organization, as every employee, when I mean employee, it's not just physical anymore. It is even your digital channel is now become a route for your customer to experience you. Aspects need to be aligned and focused on making sure that your goal is customer. I think that's what works well, and if you have this goal, you will never go long.
Amazing, amazing. I think Infantia, I'm sure you shared some amazing insight, and very simply put, it was a lot of uh, experience being shared there. I just think your voice still can be better, because we really missed some of your words in between. Maybe the network. Thank you for sharing that, which is aligning your employee workforce, your digital, your virtual teams towards that single goal of making it easy each time for your customer. And I think probably that's what Infantia stands for. Smita, I want to come to you and ask you, do you have, I know, you've got your own framework and you've been driving that. So, well, I want to hear from you any experience, any stories that you have from your experience that really, the customer told, yes, you made it easy, you made it quick, you made it, consistent for us. Anything on those lines would be awesome to hear from the ground.
Yeah, sure. So I'd like to call upon a very recent experience, and I'd like to dedicate the CX meeting, today's meeting, to Sunil Kinger, who's one of our branch managers in MP Nagar. He's no more. It's been 3 months since he passed away now. But he has created such an impact on a customer, and I'd just like to share that instance with you, being the CX day today. So there was this customer, she gave very good feedback, and we were curious to know what exactly is going on in this very small branch. What is this impact that this person is trying to create? We wanted to learn from that experience. So when we spoke to her, she said something which is really, really, really amazing. So she said she had lost her husband, and she was in dire straits. She was shattered. She didn't know what to do, where to go, etc. And at that point in time, Sunil Kinger, who's our branch manager, helped her completely with the claim, which was not even related to our bank. So he had to follow up with ICICI and get things done. But he went out of his way, got things done for her. And today she is so indebted to the bank, to this particular person. And that small thing that he went out of his way to do things which was not even pertaining to the bank, was such a learning that that personal touch, empathy, is such an important thing in the CX journey. So that was a great learning for us while we're all running behind digital and seeing how we can do things digitally. How can we do, how can we make it simple for the customer to understand? How can we make it easy for the customer to execute? This was actually a wake up call, I would say. So, this was one of the things that actually got me thinking, is digital all of it, or should we look at something more? So I'm in the exploratory phase, I'm learning too. But yeah, this is a big eye opener for me.
Amazing, amazing. And thank you for, sharing that. Thank you for honoring someone so deserving. Grateful for such contributions to the humanity, I would say. And it is really touching to know. And really, if all of us from CX actually have a lesson to take from this, is that it's not just about my company, it's not about my customer, it's about humanity, serving humanity. That's the message that I picked up. And nicely you said, the question is it all about digital? Maybe not. It's about
Yes.
more about service. It's more about touching lives. It's about making a difference. Of course, then your company comes in, then you enable as leaders. So thanks for sharing that, Abhishek. I want to know from you. You have a interesting challenge, balancing, uh, the legal aspects versus, and of course that's a challenge in the financial space, but seems like you have some of those challenges. How do you see that when you have a mandate, regulatory boundaries, at the same time you have to um, deliver great experiences? I want to know from you, in your world and in your experience, what are the things that you would suggest that are agnostic of the environment, of the companies, of the industries, that you can say for sure are true foundation of building a customer centric brand? What are those, as per your experience?
uh, I think Rajat, mostly if I look at our industry in BFSI, I think the industry as a whole has moved to a different dimension. I think last 2 years post pandemic, I think more from a core solution to more of an adjacent and personalized solution. So in our space, if I really look at being in an industry where regulatory and compliance does hold very important, but I think certain points, if from very basics, I think very basics, if you're able to follow, there was one I think I've come out with, personally, I believe this, to adding on to what Smita also said, is I personally believe the PET theory is something which I have come across. It's nothing but an personalization, empathy, and technology. So if we are able to, and mostly from an industry which is so much of compliance centered, I think empathy plays a very 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 strong role in terms of how we are coming across to the customers, how we are coming across to the members, the way it is put up. Very basic hygiene activity, like are we listening to them? Sometimes if the biggest of the things are put forward with some empathy in it, trying to listen, actually understanding, putting ourselves in their shoes, it actually solves a more problem. Like mostly in marketing parlance, it is said it's not always the issue what the customer face, but most of the times it is the tone we speak to the customer, or are we willing to listen. I would just like to give an example from my earlier, slightly, Rajat, with your permission, if I can deviate. I would like to share this experience. It was during my second or third year of my career. We had I was with a bank. I started my career with a bank. So there was this customer. So whenever he used to come down to the branch, and I would really share, and everybody literally used to say, "Oh God." I used to find people just sometimes getting from the chair and going away. Like he used to shout multiple issues. And then luckily I was the newest in the branch. So I guess my branch manager told, he's the newest guy. Let me just try put a new face. Sometimes, changing the face solves the issue. And then he said, Abhishek, I think you just see and understand whether, this customer has really been in pain for quite some time. And Rajat, telling you frankly, the only thing which I did was actually listening to him for a couple of days. So he was a cloth merchant. I told him that probably rather he coming to the branch, probably I would pay a visit. For the next 4 days, the only thing I did was to visiting his office, sitting down and understanding and listening to him. All
Great.
these months, what is the major problem, what was happening is that nobody used to listen. And sometimes I feel you know be it individuals or organizations, we have this concept of assumption of being right. So this assumption of being right, a lot of times it gives us a different paradigm the way we look at. So rather than just giving it a pause, and understanding and listening to them actually solves a lot of problem.
Wonderful.
And sharing it, Rajat, after I left that bank, and after a period of 1 month, he was like the most loyal customers of our bank, putting all his banking relationship with our bank. And he even called me after I left the organization 3 4 years. He even called me for taking few suggestions. So I think,
Right.
in
Yeah.
the putting my perspective in BFSI, where compliance and regulations do hold. But yes, if we are able to have some personalization, not in the core offering, but the way we interact with the customers, give a patient hearing, listen to them, put empathy. I'm sure that they also do understand, because now with technology and social media and informations, everybody knows how
So
things are
yeah, thank
spanning
you,
up.
Abhishek. So I think I really picked up some golden nugget from that. Of course, the acronym, which is very short but powerful, is personalization, empathy, and technology. And thank you, Abhishek, for sharing that example. Really, sometimes simple things have the greatest impacts. We may use a lot of jargons, but you gave a great example of that, giving that personal attention and listening, and that turned in that client into a loyal client for a long time. These days we use that term customer for life. I think you turned a customer into customer for life. So thank you for sharing that powerful story. Now I want to ask Anirban, who comes from different industry, but I've seen Anirban talking about a beautiful blend of analytics with human centric CX. Anirban, I just want to hear from you. We're here to talk about how to build a customer-centric brand. What do you think analytics, especially your space, brings in into building customer-centric brand? What's the contribution that analytics do? And if you have any example where you work with a lot of clients globally that has happened, so how do you create that unique experiences using the power of analytics?
Thank you, Rajat, and thanks everybody. It's very enriching session that we are having. Now, before I embark upon the answer to the question, there are 2 points which I wanted to leave on the table today. The first point is the customer, quote unquote, everywhere across the globe has possibly moved further than what we would have imagined. That is number one. And the second point is there's a famous law called Say's law in economics, which says supply creates its own demand. So we all have possibly studied during our graduation or MBA days. I have done so. The importance of this is the more we are able to generate, the more demand automatically and implicitly gets generated. Now we are at a juncture across the globe, not just in India, but across the globe, we are at a juncture where customers of different services who are availing different kinds of amenities, benefits, whatever, their expectations are on the rise. On the rise, as in it's somewhat an exponential rise that we are seeing right now. Now, there's only one way to go. There are two ways to go. The one way is curbing that rise completely and making it much more moderate, manageable. Is that the right way the world would want to go? Certainly not. The second option, the Hobson's choice, is aligning to where the customers would want to reach out to. For doing this, there is an upward spiral we would need to generate and tread continuously. The only option to do that continuously, I emphasize once again, is to ensure that there is a measurement of some sorts at every step. It's fed back to the system, and then on the next iteration, there's an active measure or there's an active attempt to improve upon what was there in the previous instance or the previous iteration. And all this is only possible if there were a mechanism to measure, if there were a mechanism to monitor and essentially feed it back and continuously have that improvement established across the customer journey. So, be it your common public services, be it your healthcare, be it your education, something which we could not imagine earlier, COVID has taught us, amongst a few silver linings, which has happened during COVID, is some of these experiences that you can do many things separated thousands of miles away. Remote monitoring, remote health, all these things have taught us that how all this can be sort of measured, wrapped around a certain, KPIs, metrics, fed back, and continuously we move up the curve. Of course, our country is a great exception, but there are many other fast moving countries where exactly the same thing is happening for all conscious consumers, conscious and positive minded consumers. And we are seeing this. This is only being possible by that upward spiral, which
Okay.
is all fed by analytics and insights.
Yeah,
That's
great. I
where
think
I
that
would see it.
Yeah, thank you, Anirban. I really, like the way you kind of provided the backdrop, and on top of that, really talked about the impact of measurement, and that there comes the role of analytics. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I want to move, Kumud. I know you may have to log off for another event. Um, I just want to know from you, what's been if you have to give a single message of building a customer-centric brand, if you have to, there are 10 things we can do, what's the one thing in your experience could be the most impactful, to build a customer centric brand? What would that thing be, or implementation, or concept?
I would say relationship building should be one of the major focus which organization should seek along with the technological capabilities. So I would say organization should look at hybrid models which can help customers to have a struggle-free, I would say, journey, as well as whenever they should be able to talk to a human, because in India I would say still wherever you go, we are still a social animal. We would like somebody to listen to us. As we said, Abhishek said, we want somebody to listen. Smita said, human touch was important to give that kind of feeling to a customer, or to get those stories, to create your brand. So I think relationship, long term engagement and relationship is one mantra which which every CX leader should think, along with the other digital transformation which is which is taking place as of now.
Great, great, great. Thank you for that, Kumud. I think you picked up probably a powerful one, a relationship. So, with that, I want to open up a question for all the panelists. Why are we not able to build a customer centric brand? We have only one Apple. Let me again ask you, tell me name of your favorite brand. Just let's go around. Any one of you can just talk. Tell me. What's your, yeah,
Apple.
For
Apple. Anyone else? Apple?
for me it would be Samsung.
Samsung. Okay. Anyone else?
Audi.
Audi.
Yeah.
Audi
For me, it's
cars.
Jeep.
Audi cars. Yeah.
Cheap
For
cars.
you, it's Jeep cars. Okay. We have two car brands there. Yeah. Okay. Smita, what's yours?
I like G, a company which I worked earlier.
Okay. Now, since you have talked about this, what do you think? Why the question still comes back? Now, there are not two, three. I mean, every time I ask this question, I see a little bit of stress on the brain. Oh, let me think. Sometimes it's very clear, but that's only one brand. Out of millions of brands that we deal with every day, right from the toothpaste that we use, or the soap may we use, or the clothes that we wear, there are very few. Why is it that there are so few customer centric brand? I want you, each one of you, to give me answer in one line, so that we really, I'm going to now throw a few more questions. So let's go around, starting with Infantia.
Add the Taj and Tata Group to it.
Okay, yes,
I
great,
think the
great addition.
reason why we have such fewer brands, that conviction and that consistency, and while that made you feel, wow, this was great, it by experiences that continue to awe you. It could be a reason that the customer, a reason that consistency had failed, when you don't end up getting that wow treatment. Simply put, getting your promise delivered.
Yeah, wow, amazing. Thank you. I think this is so important. You're right, Pancha. Kumud also in the beginning said, delivering consistently. So next, I want to ask Abhishek one line. What is the reason that so fewer brands are customer centric?
Rajat, I think it's high time organizations will have to make CX as a part of their culture. And in one line, if I have to tell it, it has to be top to bottom approach and inside to out approach, which means the leadership has to buy this. And when I say inside to out approach, the employee engagement or the EX part, I think EX part as a whole, not in silos, that a customer experience is not of a particular department or a particular individual, but organization as a whole. If we are able to have these two approaches clear, I think a lot of improvements we can definitely see in this field.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think you're just in time, Abhishek. Sangeeta, she's also one of the CX pioneers. Thank you, Sangeeta, for your inputs there. Employee orientation to customer centricity. I think, Abhishek, you talked about employee experience and leadership focusing on employees. So valuable. I mean, long-term vision. Another aspect, Sangeeta is saying, because quality itself is still a luxury. Most of the times in India. That's the insight that Sangeeta is sharing. What's the reason there are very few
And
customer-centric
Rajat,
brands? Yeah, I want to know from Anirban, one line response. Why is there very few customer-centric brands? What's failing?
Sure. Perception is intangible, but possibly that's the most tangible thing or most important thing. We need to take cognizance of this fact. Number one. Number two, I'll put in 3 points, Rajat. That's number one. Number two, silence always doesn't mean good. No news is often bad news. So that customer touch is something very, very important. Connect that keeps many things at bay. And the third element is how to wow, how to sort of make someone awestruck. That imagination has to be much, much wider than what it was, let's say, 10, 15 years back. I would say 15 years back. It is to be significantly wider and much well adopted across the board. I think that's where we see some brands flourishing, some not quite.
Okay, great. Thank you. Wow, I think that came the second time. Even Fanchia talked about how to wow. Smita, what's your take on why so few brands are there?
Yeah, so there's always a pressure for top line. There is always a pressure for bottom line. So there's no pressure for CX. There is no pressure for getting things right for the customer. But things are changing definitely. The very fact that we've started a CX day celebration itself is an indication, and there are so many people on this panel, and we're talking about it. We're spending 45 minutes. And companies are also re-looking at the way their CX models are, who's heading the CX team, is it reporting into the board. A lot of these things are just coming up. I'm sure all of it will change.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I'm glad that, Smita, you mentioned about, not CX profession, CX as a practice, not having focus, but we are getting there. And you're right that there are so many leaders here, so many senior leaders, even in this panel today, shows that there is a commitment and things are moving. So thank you for mentioning that. I want to quickly now again ask you maybe another question. What do you think needs to change in the CX profession? There are so many ones, every time I run a query on LinkedIn, I see 4 million people writing CX customer experience against their name. Some of them, I'm not counting customer success, another upcoming profession. So many associated customer focused roles are coming. Now, I want to know what's your message, what's your advice for CX professional? And when I ask you this question, I want you to, you having being part of this space, what would you advise a younger CX professional who wants to start and make a difference in this career? What would be your one line advice to the upcoming passionate CX professional who want to really move this path, make a difference, create better customer centric brands? What would be your one line advice? Who would want to go first? Up to you.
So yeah, I can go.
Yes, go ahead, Smita.
Right. So for a budding CX professional, I think CX is going to be the in thing. If you look at the new players, if you look at startups, they do nothing but CX, and that's their thriving model as well. So I think it's the thing that will be there, moving ahead. While yes, you're going to have a top line pressure, bottom line pressure, you're only going to look at it from the customer's eyes for you to survive. So this is going to become survival, and hence being in the CX space is going to be the in thing. So for a budding professional in CX, Rajat has some amazing, 6 pillars which I have taken to my heart, and I'm sure that you when if at all you're going in for a journey on CX, that you should imbibe and just go by it. I mean, you'll look for opportunities in how you can improve on your customers' journeys. So that's it for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Really like that advice. Thank you for saying it's going to be critical. You can't just ignore CX anymore, which means the market is guiding, market is driving that need. So you better fasten your seatbelt, better be good at it. And you also talked about having some framework to follow, right? Like in any other profession, in an MBA, for doctors, for lawyers, there's a framework. Thankfully, we have a framework for CX as well for people who want to learn and implement. So thanks for that wonderful wisdom. Now, who else wants to? Yeah, Infantia.
Rajat,
Yeah.
is clear?
It breaks in between, but let's do the best we can. Meanwhile, I just want to share
Sure.
some. Meanwhile, I just want to share. I think Sangeeta's message saying work in customer facing role. That's another suggestion she has. A nice one there. We have also another one from Garima. She's saying, how do we deliver value to customers? This question needs to be handled with more empathy and personal touch for having more customer centric brand. And maybe in lines of what Abhishek also talked about at this pet p personalization, empathy, and technology. Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you, Garima. Yeah, and Fanchia, what's your advice to the CX
My
professionals?
advice is that CX, it is no more an option. Okay, more and more CEOs who made the world turn, obsessed with customers. So every field or say is now a CX department. It's no more a department that supports business. Organizations who we took, those who are able to make CX the culture, the employee, the experience. The packaging and what you see physically, but CX itself. You have so many who are now completely obsessed about what the customer is saying. When they see so many of our known that are talking about how media about being simple and making sure that you. So I think no matter which industry you are in, no matter analytics, technology, customer experience, every aspect of it begins knowing what your customer wants and knowing what your So I think it's no more an option.
No more an option. It's a mandate. I think two leaders, we've heard Smita and Fanchia talking different words, but probably there is a underlying commonality is that CX, you can't ignore it. Ignore it at your own risk and at the risk of being eliminated. These are the leaders who have been there, done that, implementing CX. What's your one-line advice, Abhishek, for CX
For,
professionals?
yeah, if I were to give a one-line advice, it would be purely focus on human connection with pod. That is passion, obsession, discipline.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's super clear, and it's short and powerful. Now, let's ask Anirban, what's your one-line advice for CX professionals? Before
Sure.
that, just let me share some more comments coming in. Thank you, Sandeep, for participating. Sandeep is saying starting with customer service role would help you learn to listen. I think again what Abhishek just said, listening, understanding, and helping customer with empathy. Okay, it's coming. Again, even if you're in a stressful ecosystem, empathy is the key differentiator. Thank you for that. So very powerful. We also have Ajay Pai also commenting, saying the reason we have fewer customer-centric brands are number one, departments prefer working in silos. Challenge probably that some of these CX functions are trying to solve as well, a big one. Second is he's saying IT glitches, frequent one in the software they build. Yeah, very from on the technology perspective, that's another challenge. So thank you, Ajay, for participating and sharing your perspective. Super. All right. Yes. Go ahead, Anirban.
Sure. So I'll maybe double click for a minute, Rajat. That'll help at least elucidating my perspective. Out of the three charters, which I think Smita cited, and the three charters are the top line, the bottom line, and the CEX. Two of these three charters for any CXO or the CEO himself or herself are having a tangible and a concrete number to it. So they are well measurable and they are very concrete. They are hard by nature. The third charter, which is CEX, that is a soft one. Beg your pardon, a little bit of a disturbance. Sorry. That's a soft, charter that way. There has to be a mechanism which we would need to somehow figure out, establish, by which CX can be linked to the other two tangible and hard charters, top line and the bottom line. Of course, there are CX scores, the NPS, the CSAT, the CES, each in their own perspectives and in their own rights. However, that line which is there with CX, customer experience as a discipline to your top line or to your bottom line, is a faint dotted line right now. Even today, in this fast moving customer experience oriented world, we would need to make that a much more stronger line, that way, much more stronger connect, which is what would help appreciate everybody across the globe the importance of this discipline. We only appreciate when something fails. The challenge is we need to appreciate it as it is and start it on the right footing from the very beginning. That will be my submission on this note.
Yeah, thank you, Anirban. I think some really amazing perspectives for those who want to make an impact in CX space. Some of the leaders here I know have worked in that area or have owned that area, which Anirban also touched upon, is the power of insights, power of measurement, power of having metrics. For CX practitioners, you need to be aware of the ROI, and it's a question that's going to keep coming back, and I'm sure I'm seeing some of the leaders nodding head here. It's going to keep coming back. Why CX? So if you are a CX professional, have that answer, a good one. Use analytics the way Anirban said, use its power. use the power of personalization, use the power of relationship and empathy. So we are kind of coming towards the an end of our panel discussion. Want to remind you, we have gathered here to celebrate Customer Experience Day. Nothing serious about it. It's a day to have, remind us that we are on a mission, that we are together, we have a community, right? Is that right? Thank you. So I really want to thank, all the panelists here. Kumud had to leave. She let me know earlier as well. I want to thank Abhishek, thank Infantia, thank Anirban, thank Smita. What's the one word that you would sum up CX, the power of CX as? I would say transformational. One word, your one word, Abhishek.
Yeah, I would second to that, because the environment is transforming. Therefore, the CX should help in this transformation. So I would second to you.
Great, thank you.
And moreover, if with your permission, just like to add, yesterday I was just reading an article that was talking about a lot of companies are driving from customer experience to customer science. Is that what they are trying to achieve for which? And if when they talk about customer science, is how they're building synergy with CX in
Hmm.
plus data plus AI. So this is what is going to will lead to hyper personalization, and especially in BFSI. So I just thought
Great.
I'll put this across.
Yeah. Science. So science, another word. Abhishek, thank you for sharing that. Transformation in science. Infantia, what's your one word that you would to sum up CX impact?
For the future, I think that's the
Sorry,
design.
once again.
Future by design.
Future by design. Awesome. Okay. So again, I think power of design in CX. Thank you. Thank you. Smita, what would be the one word?
Yeah, I also was thinking of future,
Hmm.
and I guess it's also an emotion.
Hmm. Okay, great. Future and emotion. Lovely. Thank you for that. Really love that as well. Anirban, you any one word for
I
CX?
think one word would be seminal for me.
Seminal.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you just add one sentence to that?
Yeah, that essentially it's I think a combination of what the panelists mentioned.
Okay.
It's profound in itself. It is tacit. It is something that will carve out your future. Of course, it has a build up to it from the past. I mean, experience builds up, and then an outcome comes out of it, and it determines, it influences.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's
So
what.
I want to thank you, Anirban. Great description there. How would you show empathy in a symbol with your hands? What would be that symbol? Can anyone tell me? Okay. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's whatever it is, I have to take your picture as well with that. So let's do that. Let's follow Infantia's showed that. I don't know how can I make that with one hand and I have to click also. So I just use that. And with a big smile, I want to thank you everyone here. Thank you. Thank you so much. You can watch all the people who've been here, watched this, contributed to this as audience. Thank you to you as well. I want to really, once again thank to be part of the CX day and contribute with your wisdom, your expertise, and wish you all the best, all the panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajat.
Thank you, Rajat.
Thank you, Rajat, for hosting. Thanks and best greetings to all the panelists.
Yeah, so we go off live. Let me
Yeah.
just end.